Here's a look at some of the stories West Michigan is waking up to this morning.
2 Michigan State police troopers shot while executing a search warrant.
It really puts it in perspective. You know, it's something that we hope never happens, but we know that it's part of the job.
What saved their lives in the cold case that brought them to the scene.
The university needs to really make some strides going in a different direction.
Breaking overnight, the former employer of Larry Nassar, Michigan State University's president, Luanna Simon, resigned. We're live on campus with student reaction this morning.
As more and more people continue to come down with the flu,
you could be transferring dangerous germs.
we're looking at some tips to help you get it out of your home.
Your next trip to the John Ball Zoo will cost you more money. Just how much ticket prices are going up and when the zoo will open for the season.
Fox 17 Morning News continues right now.
Well, good Thursday morning. Thanks so much for waking up with us. I'm Deanna Falzone.
And I'm Mike Avery. Thank you for being here. Rob Westerby is here, as is Gary Frank. And here we go on a Thursday.
Yep, and not bad. Once again, pretty quiet out there. Temperatures below freezing, but no issue there. I mean, we'd expect to be below freezing. In fact, we'd normally expect to be below 20, and we're not there anywhere. Temps are still pretty nice. We have some clearing off to the southwest. That's where our clearing will come from by sunrise, but we still have cloud cover out there. 24 in Big Rapids, 29 Kalamazoo, Three Rivers, 30 along the lakeshore. Our temperatures are, as I mentioned, just a little bit below freezing. Mostly a southwest breeze at around 5 to 10 miles an hour. It'll switch to the south here shortly, and that's going to be the catalyst to warm us up. So by midday, we can expect our temperatures already in the 30s, and then by this afternoon, we're in the mid-30s. So we go to 38 degrees. We have a few clouds outside, of course, but we also look at upper 30s for our highs this afternoon. 48 tomorrow, very windy as a result. Some spots to the south hit 50. 44, a very light shower possible, but 32 with a few snow showers on Sunday. I want to highlight Friday into Saturday's very, very windy conditions as well shortly and talk about those snow showers just ahead.
Fox 17 traffic, seeing normal flow of traffic at 28th Street on 131, the busiest location really around West Michigan. Even 94 isn't as busy as this around the Kalamazoo area. We're looking at very good driving conditions and on-time travel times that we're seeing on speed data. I'm Rob Westerby, Fox 17 traffic.
Well, new from overnight, the president of Michigan State University resigns the same day MSU and USA Gymnastics Dr. Larry Nassar learned he will spend the rest of his life behind bars.
This, of course, follows a week of statements from more than 150 victims who say he sexually assaulted them. The last victim to speak yesterday was actually the first woman to come forward with allegations of abuse. Rachel Den Hollander filed a criminal complaint against Nassar after she was abused in 2000 when she was 15 years old. She was the focus of the Indy Star article that blew the case open, her story inspiring literally hundreds of others to come forward.
We now have to use our voices and experiences to protect the little girls of tomorrow from watching their heroes turn into predators. What I need is systemic change at the highest levels to end the culture of abuse that is sweeping our nation.
Your words these past several days, your words have had a significant emotional effect on myself and has shaken me to my core.
The sentence Nassar got yesterday will be served after his separate 60-year sentence for federal child pornography charges. Now, as we mentioned earlier, the search is on for a new president of Michigan State University.
Luanna Simon announced last night that she is stepping down amid growing calls for her to resign over her handling of the Larry Nassar case. Alyssa Heron joins us live from MSU's campus in East Lansing with more on how students are reacting this morning. Alyssa?
Good morning to the both of you. Well, first, we just made our way onto the campus not too long ago, and we stopped at a local gas station and picked up two papers you can see here. First of all, the Lansing State Journal saying, quote, "My monster is gone," and we have the Detroit Free Press over here listing every name of those victims that came forward and those survivors that came forward. But just as you guys were saying, Simon's announcement comes the same day that Nassar was sentenced for sexually abusing more than 150 women and girls. Now, this also comes on the same day the state's House of Representatives passed a resolution calling for her resignation. Now, Simon, who's been the university president for the last 13 years has been under fire for allegedly refusing to suspend Nassar even after she knew that he was sexually abusing patients. Now, you remember last week the MSU Board of Trustees announced that it was still supporting Simon despite the allegations. We spoke to some students who say Simon's resignation comes as a relief.
I do think it was a good move on her part. And also, I mean, I think the university needs to really make some strides going in a different direction.
These type of issues will start to be taken more seriously. And with her resigning, I guess, I don't know how MSU is going to handle that.
Now, Simon released this resignation late last night, saying she shares the blame for Nassar's abuse, which is why she stayed quiet during court proceedings. Simon said, quote, "To the survivors, I can never say enough that I am so sorry that a trusted, renowned physician was really such an evil, evil person who inflicted such harm under the guise of medical treatment," end quote. And the board says it stands by the president on her resignation and says it's now time for a change. And as for finding her replacement, the board says it's still working on that, but is in the process of making sure the transition is smooth. For now in East Lansing, Alyssa Heron, Fox 17 News.
And meanwhile, the athletic director at MSU says the school will cooperate with the NCAA investigation into Nassar's actions when he was an employee at the school. The organization is asking MSU to send them any information regarding potential violations related to Nassar. The statement from the athletic department says the health and safety of MSU student athletes is their first priority. Another major corporate sponsor just split from USA Gymnastics following the case against Nassar. AT&T says it will no longer do business with the organization, following other big-name companies like Under Armour, Hershey, Kellogg, and Procter & Gamble. According to the Washington Post, the company released a statement saying they're suspending sponsorship until the USA Gymnastics organization is rebuilt and they can be sure that athletes are in a safe environment.
And after yesterday's sentencing, nearly a dozen survivors held a press conference to share their feelings on the 7-day sentencing. They also thanked the more than 150 women who shared their stories and touched on the more work they say needs to be done to keep anything like this from happening again.
We have waited 18 months to hear MSU respond to our concerns and to say no. This is not how we treat sexual assault victims at MSU. But instead, they have played word games, insisting that no one at MSU knew of the abuse because no one believed it was abuse. Completely failing to recognize that the abhorrent failure to act properly on all the reports they received led them to not believe. No one believed because no one listened, and they are still not listening.
Sir? A protest is set to take place tonight at 5 o'clock on MSU's campus at The Rock. Protesters will stand in solidarity with the survivors. An Olympic gold medalist, Simone Biles, took to Twitter after Nassar was sentenced yesterday. She thanked the judge, saying she's her hero. She also included this picture of the judge with a quotation that says, "Leave your pain here. Go out and do magnificent things." Biles also acknowledged the dozens of women and girls who spoke during the hearing, calling them queens. She ended by saying she stands with all the survivors.
In other news this morning, 2 Michigan State police troopers are recovering after they were shot on the job. It happened yesterday morning at a home on Francisco Road in Union City. It was during a search warrant in connection with a cold case that was reopened. MSP says a man at the home opened fire on them, hitting Detective Sergeant Aaron Steensma in the chest and Trooper Daniel Thayer in his hand and bulletproof vest. The suspect, who has not been identified, died, but it's not clear if troopers killed him or if he took his own life. Still, officials say the situation could have ended worse.
The gentleman came out of the house a few minutes later and started to shoot at our detectives and troopers that were on scene. One of our detectives was struck in the shoulder clavicle area, and another one of our troopers was struck in his ballistic vest. And the one struck in the shoulder was pretty seriously injured.
Both the trooper and the sergeant were wearing bulletproof vests at the time. Authorities say the suspect didn't have a violent criminal history.
Deputies are searching for possible witnesses following a deadly crash early this morning. It happened just after midnight on Riverview Drive in Cooper Township. That's in Kalamazoo County. Deputies say the driver, only identified as a 38-year-old man from Kalamazoo, may have been speeding when he lost control and crashed into trees. If you know anything about this crash, you are being asked to call investigators at that number right there on your screen.
A man is facing charges this morning in connection with a deadly shooting in Grand Rapids. 17-year-old Andre Hawkins was shot and killed Tuesday night on 2nd Street. Yesterday, officers arrested Vicente Rodriguez Ortiz with the help of a police dog. They found him nearby. He faces several charges, including open murder. No word yet on when he'll be formally charged in court.
Fire crews plan to be at a local business today to figure out what caused it to catch fire. This was the scene at L&W Engineering around 7 last night. Crews say the fire started in some plastic totes toward the back of the building before it spread to the roof. Crews were able to put the fire out in about 30 minutes, but they still had a difficult time, saying there was limited access to the fire and water supplies were pretty far away from the building. Still, no one was hurt, and authorities say the fire does not appear to be suspicious.
The Grand Rapids city manager is retiring, and before officials pick a replacement, you have a chance to meet the candidates in the running. City officials will announce a list of finalists on January 30th. For 6 months, they've been searching for candidates across the country to fill Greg Sundstrom's position. After announcing the finalists, the city will host a public question and answer session on February 5th with the finalists at the Wealthy Street Theater. That will start at 5:30 with a meet and greet session immediately after. A second round of interviews will be held the next afternoon, which will be open to the public as well. A decision should come shortly after that.
Well, it's going to cost you more to go to the zoo in Grand Rapids this year. John Ball Zoo confirms it will be raising the price of admission. The zoo says it will now cost $12.50 for adults and $10 for kids during its peak season, which runs from the end of April to the end of September. That's up about $2 from last year. This comes despite a millage in 2016 to help fund the zoo. The zoo is set to reopen on March 10th.
It is 9 minutes after 6, and coming up after the break,
President Trump is planning to take part in the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. We'll tell you what he plans to promote as part of it.
well, with the flu continuing to spread, we are breaking down 5 ways to help get the bug out of your home.
Pretty quiet morning for the second day in a row, but we're going to see some real windy conditions tomorrow. We'll discuss that, and our temps near 50 degrees coming up.
And round and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside out. And round,
13 after 6 on Fox 17 Morning News. That is a live look over Grand Rapids this morning. We'll check forecast in just a little bit. President Trump is taking part in the World Economic Forum in Switzerland.
Yeah, Mr. Trump is expected to promote America First nationalism to an international group that focuses on globalization. John Lawrence reports.
For the first time in nearly 2 decades, a sitting U.S. president is taking part in the World Economic Forum.
The economy is doing very well. Great. I'm going to Davos to get them to bring back a lot of money. They're going to invest a lot of money in this country.
President Trump is scheduled to give a speech Friday in front of world leaders. White House officials were tight-lipped about what the president will say, but likely topics include tax cuts and deregulation. And Mr. Trump is expected to make the case that his economic policies will boost U.S. growth and increase investment.
I made the statement that if we didn't do the regulation cutting, which I think is actually maybe more important than even the tax cuts, but the regulations, I think you would have had a much different situation.
Free and fair trade will also be discussed in great detail.
If you speak to any world leader, obviously they're going to have the priorities of their own country are going to be first, but they're going to do that in the context of a global world that we operate in.
We believe that free trade and open markets is unequivocally good for people in Australia, and we think it's unequivocally good for people around the world that participate in it.
Many are wondering how President Trump's populist message will be received.
Our role is not to comment what the U.S. president is doing, but to do what Europe needs to do, and to have the political and economic role that Europe has to have.
Mr. Trump is the first sitting U.S. president to take part in this forum since President Clinton in 2000. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Well, if this season's deadly flu outbreak isn't scary enough, new research found a link between the flu and an increased risk of heart attacks. The study suggests the risk of heart attack is 6 times greater for those with the flu. Among the people in the study who had at least one heart attack while recovering from the flu, 69% did not receive a flu shot. Doctors have suspected a link between the flu and heart attacks since the 1930s. And with the virus spreading rapidly this flu season, the key to staying healthy is prevention. One expert actually used this black light to find flu germs in her house. She says there are 5 ways to keep your home flu-free. One is to wipe down all the handles, doorknobs, and switches to kill the virus. Make sure you leave your shoes at the door and not to put your purse or bag on any countertops. And use paper towels to dry hands instead of a towel. And get rid of your toothbrush if you get sick to avoid the bug from spreading.
It typically will die or become inactivated within 24 to 48 hours. You could be transferring dangerous germs.
The CDC says it is never too late to get a flu shot, so make sure to check with your doctor to see if one is right for you.
Hyundai is recalling about 88,000 vehicles because the engines could catch fire. The recall affects certain Sonata and Azura models. Hyundai says water can get into the anti-lock brake modules of those cars, causing them to overheat and possibly catch fire, even when the cars are turned off. Dealers will install a fix to shut down the modules, but it's still not clear if that will solve the problem of electrical shorts while engines are on. The recall is set to start late next month.
Well, Taco Bell has added nacho fries to its menus nationwide this week. The medium-cut fries are smothered in taco-like seasoning and come with a side of nacho cheese for dipping. That's fantastic. The Mexican chain will also include a supreme option, which will include fries topped with cheese, taco meat, pico de gallo, and sour cream. The regular fries will cost customers $1, while the supreme option will be available for $2.49. They will only be available for a limited time. Meantime, Kentucky Fried Chicken is introducing the KFO, or Kentucky Flying Object. Geez, they're just not giving up, are they?
Nope.
It's a chicken wings box that includes a do-it-yourself drone. 24 lucky customers at participating locations in India will receive the parts for their own KFO. Only with particular orders of smoky grilled wings. Step-by-step instructions are available online to construct the drone, and then there's an app to control the new aircraft. The boxes will only be available today and tomorrow. Again, if you're headed to India anytime soon, there you go.
You got yourself a drone.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, you know, I love the, hey, this is really cool, but we're not going to be able to see
Can't do it here.
What I really like to talk about is that Supreme Nacho
Right?
Fry. That sounds money.
I would have to agree. Anything that I can dip in nacho cheese, I'm for.
I am in for
Yeah.
getting up early and ringing the bell on the way to work before it closes just to pick up some nacho fries.
Well, I think that's a plan, Gary.
I think it
Why
is
don't you try and do that tomorrow?
I don't think they're out yet, are they? I thought that's what it said, soon, or I'm not going to be doing that tomorrow.
No, they are out.
They're out now.
Okay, good.
We just got word from Taco
Yeah.
Bell.
Good.
They'll just be for a limited time if they are out.
We can
yeah.
stop by the Kentucky Hut. We can get a drone, too.
There you go.
That's it.
Day made.
We saw a little bit of sunshine yesterday. Cloud cover ruled the day for the most part, though. Here's what's happening throughout the next several hours. Holland, we got some sunshine there. Outside right now. It's still a little cloudy, but our clearing is working its way in. 29 degrees with a southwest breeze now, and that has continued. We'll switch them to the south, but as I mentioned, the clearing will be here shortly. It is still off to the southwest. We have cloud cover over the lake and over most of the mitten. Temperatures at 28 in Ionia, Battle Creek, 30 in Muskegon, also South Haven. We will expect our temperatures to rise over the next several hours. There's no surprise there, but our normal temps are below 20 at this time. It's not that bad at all. A southwest breeze at 5 to 10 currently. The midday, we've got our temperatures already in the 30-degree range, and so we'll be very close, if not exceeding 30 degrees. And then by this afternoon, we'll see more sunshine, so it should be a much better day. That southwest breeze keeps us away from that lake effect cloud cover. 38 degrees. We have a 3 o'clock by 38 degrees. We got a 5 to 10 mile an hour wind by 5:46 is our sunset. That's what I was getting to there. Overnight, we're dropping only to around 30 degrees. We have more of a southerly breeze that is actually going to pick up. And as a result, that's going to help keep us warmer. But over the next few days, our temperatures are going to continue to warm up. In fact, tomorrow, we've got a warmer air mass. You can see it's already in the 40s, even at this hour. This is what's going to be in place for our region shortly. And by Friday evening, we're already under the warmest portion of this air mass that we can find. And that's what we're going to see as far as warmer temperatures. But as a result, we are going to have a very, very steady south breeze. Now, that cold air doesn't arrive until Saturday evening. So that means Friday into Saturday, very warm, but also very windy. A south breeze at 15 to 25 tomorrow at noon, gusts upwards of 30. But look by 5 o'clock on Friday. Gusts over 40 miles an hour, and we're right around 50 miles an hour by Friday evening into the overnight by early Friday morning. So as a result, if you are a light sleeper, you are going to be woken up by the wind. It is going to be very, very windy overnight Friday into Saturday. By Saturday lunchtime, it's lighter, it's still breezy, but it's not quite as bad. That's when our temperatures start to fall Saturday night. It's 48 though tomorrow. In fact, some spots wouldn't be surprised to hit 50 degrees. Above freezing overnight, 44 Saturday, 32 with snow showers on Sunday. We've got 28 on Monday, and then we're in the mid to upper 30s Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right. Thanks, Gary.
It is 6:21 and coming up.
After recent reboots of Will and Grace and Roseanne, another popular show from the 80s and 90s is coming back. We'll tell you which one it is coming up next.
And singer Elton John made the big announcement that he's planning one last world tour. How you can catch him here in Michigan.
And say good morning to our Facebook fan of the day. It is Tina Anderson, who says she never misses the morning show. Thanks so much for watching, Tina. Hope you have a great day.
Fox 17 traffic at 6:24 in the morning, generally problem-free and normal flow of traffic that we can see here, 131 at I-96. I'm also seeing normal speed data all around West Michigan. Do have a closure that's scheduled for today. Some sewer work is going to be closing Lafayette Avenue north of 196. And this is a route that is important to anybody who accesses the hospitals downtown. Lafayette will be closed from 9 a.m. to 3:30, and so your detour is to use College Avenue between Michigan and Leonard Street. Generally on time on all the major corridors, including around Kalamazoo and Battle Creek. I'm Rob Westerby, Fox 17 Traffic.
All right, Rob, thank you very much. Big Little Lies is boosting its star power.
HBO says Meryl Streep will join the cast in season 2. The iconic actress will play the mother-in-law of Nicole Kidman's character, Celeste Wright. Season 2 of Big Little Lies was officially announced back in December. Kidman and Reese Witherspoon, both executive producers on the series, are the only cast members that have been officially confirmed to return, though HBO has said it expects most of the cast will be back. Big Little Lies debuted in February of last year. The series has won 8 Emmys and recently took home 4 Golden Globe Awards.
Very popular show.
Well, another hit show from the 1980s and 90s is getting a reboot following the return of Will and Grace and Roseanne.
Yeah, now Murphy Brown is getting a revival. CBS announced it is ordering 13 new episodes of Murphy Brown for the 2018-19 TV season. Candice Bergen will return as her iconic character, along with creator, writer, and executive producer Diane English. Murphy Brown was a strong-willed, sharp-tongued journalist in her 40s. Who was the star reporter for a fictional TV news magazine. The show ran from 1988 to 1998. No word yet on which former cast members might return for that reboot. We out of ideas now, or we're just rebooting every story, every show from the 80s?
Yep, I guess so.
All right, well, music icon Elton John says that he is going on a massive 300-date world tour that includes stops in Michigan, and after that, he'll retire from touring altogether.
The 70-year-old singer made the announcement at a news conference yesterday. His farewell Yellow Brick Road tour starts in Allentown, Pennsylvania on September 8th and will run for 3 years. He'll be at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit on October 12th, and on October 15th, he'll be here at Van Ant Arena in Grand Rapids. John has been touring since he was 17 years old. I didn't know that. And has sold more than 300 million albums worldwide. Now he says he just wants to spend more time with his family.
My priorities have changed in my life. 10 years ago, if you'd have said, I'm going to stop touring, and I said, no, I'm a working musician, I always play. But we had children, and I changed our lives. And in 2015, David and I sat down with their school schedule, and I thought, I don't want to miss too much of this. You know, I've had an amazing life. I've had an amazing career. I've been so incredibly lucky. And I just My life has changed.
Tickets will go on sale at 10 a.m. on February 2nd, so mark it down.
There you go. He is absolutely phenomenal live.
You've seen him,
I had a
right?
chance to see him with Billy Joel.
Wow.
Yeah, which was an incredible show. 6:27 coming up.
A new Chick-fil-A is set to open soon in West Michigan, and they're hiring. We'll tell you how you can apply to work there.
And Michigan State University's president is stepping down. We'll have the latest and student reactions coming up.
You're watching Fox 17 Morning News with Mike Avery, Deanna Falzone, Gary Frank, and Rob Westerby.
And all the girls say I'm pretty fly for a white guy.
Well, we all have our social media accounts. Mine is that, Rob Westerby, Fox 17. And yesterday I stumbled across a Bleacher Report post that said something interesting about the Patriots in that they've chosen white jerseys for the Super Bowl. Well, what's interesting is that they point out that 12 of the last 13 winners in the Super Bowl wore white jerseys, which of course has nothing to do with the quality of play, but hey, weird.
Yeah.
It does help that they have Tom Brady.
Yeah. I suppose, yes.
That helps.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Never out of a game.
I know. We'll probably not watch very much of it.
Nope.
We'll probably get to the third quarter like normal, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So Philly cheesesteaks, though. That's what's on the menu this year, I think.
Perfect.
Not a bad idea.
nice.
You know,
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
something different for the Super Bowl.
Maybe some New England clam chowder.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
That actually sounds kind of good.
Oh, I was in Boston. Lobster bisque.
Oh, that sounds
there you
even better.
I don't like
getting
seafood,
hungry.
so none of that.
Oh,
Not a feeling.
so good.
I could use some of those nacho fries. So anyway, we're in pretty good shape this morning. Not much going on outside. No fog. Wind's not blowing too hard. It's 5 to 10 miles an hour, and we're not too far below freezing, so it's relatively comfortable for the finish to January. We do see some clearing off to the southwest. This is going to be here shortly, just in time for sunrise, I think. It's 26 in Fremont, 28 in Battle Creek, 30 in Muskegon. We'll continue to see our temperatures rise, and they'll be helped by a south and southwesterly breeze, specifically south. But we're going to see temperatures over the next few days. They're in the upper 30s today, but the next few days, we're at 48 degrees tomorrow, but it's very windy, specifically at night, and then we're at 44. It remains very mild to start our weekend, with 32 on Sunday. So do expect our temperatures that are going to rise up today in the upper 30s yet again, but this is just the start of our warming trend for at least the weekend. We'll highlight that and also talk about a return to a little bit closer to normal just ahead.
Fox 17 traffic, we have a fender bender in our sights at the Alpine Avenue 96 ramp. This is from westbound 96 to Alpine Avenue. Northbound, these two cars involved in a fender bender. Somebody got rear-ended, so they're sitting waiting for an officer to do the report, and maybe, I don't know if we're going to need a record there or not. As you can tell, it's very light traffic at the moment, so it's not really causing much of a problem unless somebody comes up and finds themselves sitting behind these cars and can't figure out what's going on. Besides, you ever seen that happen? You know, some people sit and they just can't seem to figure out what's going on, and it's obvious that they should just change lanes and get going. Around West Michigan, generally on-time traffic, and that's the same when it comes to flights out of West Michigan's airports, with the one exception where some people had to sit out a delay to Detroit from Kalamazoo. I'm Rob Westerby, Fox 17 Traffic.
And here is a look at your top stories this morning. 2 MSP troopers are recovering after they were shot on the job. It happened yesterday morning in Union City when officers were conducting a search warrant in connection with a cold case. We're told the suspect opened fire on the troopers, hitting a detective in the chest and another in his hand. The suspect died at the scene. Fire crews are still working to find out what sparked the fire at L&W Engineering in Holland last night. Crews say the fire started in plastic totes toward the back of the building before it spread to the roof. The fire was hard to put out because water supplies were pretty far away from the building. Still, no one was hurt, and authorities say the fire doesn't appear to be suspicious. And after 7 days of statements from more than 100 victims, the judge sentenced former Dr. Larry Nassar to 40 to 175 years, beginning after his 60-year sentence for child pornography charges. Nassar was a doctor not only at USA Gymnastics, but also Michigan State University, pleading guilty to abusing dozens of girls. Now the judge is calling for an in-depth investigation into institutions who silence complaints of sexual abuse while locking Nassar away for good. And in the wake of former Dr. Larry Nassar's sexual abuse case, the president of Michigan State University, his former employer, announced her resignation.
Luanna Simon announced last night that she is stepping down amid growing calls for her to resign. Alyssa Heron joins us live from MSU's campus in East Lansing with more on how students are reacting this morning.
Good morning. Well, as we made our way onto campus, we did stop and grab some papers. Not only is this story making it in the national headlines, but here locally as well. Obviously, you can see here at the Lansing State Journal, headline says, "My monster is gone." And here in the Detroit Free Press, it's listing every single name of one of those survivors. But just like you guys said, Simon's announcement comes on the same day that Nassar was sentenced for sexually abusing more than 150 women and girls. Now, this also comes on the same day that the State House of Representatives passed a resolution calling for her resignation. Now, Simon, who's been university president for the last 13 years, has been under fire for allegedly refusing to suspend Nassar even after she knew that he was sexually abusing patients. Now, you remember last week the MSU Board of Trustees announced it was still supporting Simon despite the allegations. We did speak to one of Nassar's victims who says Simon's resignation is a relief.
I think that Simon resigning is the great first step. I, however, am having a little bit of trouble with the fact that she will still be somewhat affiliated or still be able to pull strings and have connections. I don't think that that's best for the institution.
Board trustees released this statement last night saying President Simon has offered her resignation to the Board of Trustees and we will accept it. That end quote. Now, that statement went on to say, "We agree with Dr. Simon that it is now time for change. We will be working through the details of transition with President Simon through the rest of the week, and we will announce them as soon as we can." Simon's resignation letter says in part she shares the blame for Nassar's abuse, which is why she stayed quiet during the court proceedings. And the board says it stands by President Simon on her resignation and says it's now time for change. As for her replacement, the board says it's still working on that, but hoping that that transition will be smooth. So we'll be checking in with you throughout the morning, hearing from more students here on campus. But for now, live in East Lansing, Alyssa Heron, Fox 17 News.
All right, Alyssa, thank you. Well, a man who's accused of killing his neighbor is set to head to trial.
Nicole DiDonato joining us with that story and other headlines. Good morning.
And good morning to all of you. Wendell Popejoy charged with open murder in this case. He's accused of killing Sheila Bonji. This was in Ottawa County. She was reported missing on Christmas, and 4 days later, her body found in a wooded area behind her home. Investigators say Popejoy often had disputes with her, and investigators previously testified he confessed to shooting her and disposing of her body. No word on when he goes to trial. Toys R Us closing 200 stores across the country, including 2 in West Michigan. The Toys R Us on Harvey Street in Norton Shores and the Babies R Us on 28th Street in Cascade set to close. It all comes after the company declared bankruptcy back in September. Customers we talked to say they're going to be sad to see it go.
When I registered, when I was pregnant, I registered here, and they always have a really nice gift package for when you register, which is always really nice. So it'd be very sad to see that go for new coming moms.
Well, the company cites increased competition and a shift by customers toward online shopping as the reasons. Closure is expected to begin early next month. Along those same lines, the Gap store at the Lakes Mall in Muskegon announcing it is closing its doors come March 31st. Officials say it is the only Gap location in the state that's closing, and at the store at the Woodland Mall in Kentwood will stay open. Many of the employees at Lakes Mall will be transferred to the Old Navy that's across the street. Now, another Chick-fil-A restaurant set to open in West Michigan next month, and they're already hiring. This one being built along 28th Street in Grand Rapids by the shops at Centerpoint. Franchise owner hoping to hire as many as 100 people. If you'd like to apply, just head to the website on your screen. And mark your calendars for October 6th. The popular Runway 5K returns to Ford International Airport. For 2 hours, the airport will shut down so participants can run through a tunnel and one of its runways. The event is a big fundraiser for Make-A-Wish Michigan. You can start registering now and do it soon because last year it sold out in just 5 days. They ended up raising about $10,000. That's pretty impressive, isn't it?
And that's a great idea.
It is.
It's a fun way to, if you want to, add a new run to your list this year.
Very unique venue, right?
Very cool.
Thanks, Nicole.
It is 6:40 and still ahead.
We are checking in with our Erica Francis in a little bit, but first.
We still have a long way to go, but we've
gotten a lot done to this point.
Just 10 days left until Super Bowl 52, and for crews to get the stadium ready, we've got a look inside U.S. Bank Stadium as it transforms for the big game.
Pretty good out there right now. We've got temperatures that are going to continue to warm up, and that's going to melt a little bit of the ice on the lakeshore, and that's what we saw yesterday. Our temperatures now at 29. They are just a little bit below freezing. Southwest breeze, 5 miles an hour. We have some clearing off to the southwest, and that's what's headed our way shortly. But for now, temperatures at 24 in Big Rapids, 29 in Three Rivers. Looking at these temperatures, and then remembering that our average lows for this time of the year are about just under 20. So, you know, it's a pretty decent start, all things considered. But what we're going to look at over the next few days is warming and more melting, as I mentioned. A south and southwest breeze right now, about 5 to 10 miles an hour is going to be in place. And you can expect our temperatures to the tune of about 32 degrees, 33 degrees at lunchtime, and then mid to upper 30s this afternoon. Your planner gets you to 26 by 9 a.m., 33 by noon, 38 by 3 o'clock. We also note the sunrise now at 8:03, 5:46 our sunset. And we are just, working our way toward spring here very shortly. And it's going to feel a little bit more like it tomorrow specifically. Tonight, we're only going to drop down to around 30 again. And so it's real close to where we're at right now. But it's all part of this transition, and it starts with a south breeze at about 10 miles an hour. Partly cloudy tonight. That'll keep some warmth in, but it's that south breeze. It's the catalyst for change, and we're really going to see that breeze pick up in the coming days. 30s and 40s off to the south, even at this hour, and that's part of the warmer air mass that's going to be settling in. So by Friday afternoon and evening, right here, the core of the warmer air is settled right into West Michigan. That's what we're going to see affect us, and it is also going to be extremely breezy. Now, Friday into Saturday, until that colder air mass comes in, we're going to be on the milder side for this time of the year. It's that south breeze by 2 o'clock tomorrow, 15 to 20 miles an hour everywhere. But gusts upwards of 30, and then by the evening, look at these wind gusts, upwards of 40 to 45 miles an hour. And so even inland, we're going to see that possibility of gusts upwards of 50 miles an hour at times. So if you're a light sleeper, Friday night, hopefully you don't have to work Saturday morning, because we are going to see very windy conditions that persist into the overnight hours. But by daybreak and then into 8 or 9 o'clock, we're going to see those winds calm down a little bit. Still going to be on the breezy side, but just not quite as much. 48 degrees, windy conditions, real breezy by the nighttime, and then we're at 44 on Saturday. Chance of light rain, but back down to some colder temperatures, and then we're in the 20s on Monday with a few flurries left over. 34 on Tuesday. No significant snows on the way anytime soon.
All right, Gary, thank you. Well, we are less than 2 weeks away from Super Bowl 52, and that means it's crunch time.
It's true. The NFL has been working nonstop to get U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis ready for the big game. On the to-do list, workers have been creating additional broadcast booths to make enough room for the press, painting the end zones, and putting together the massive halftime show lighting grid.
Well, we've turned it from a Vikings home stadium, home field, into a neutral Super Bowl field.
It's encouraging for sure to see the field painted. We still, have more elements that have to be added to that, but there are a lot. The list is probably too long to get into of exactly what needs to get done.
And the game is set for Sunday, February 4th. Of course, we all know who's playing, right? The Patriots and the Philadelphia Eagles. There you go. Okay. Well, one woman celebrated her birthday by going indoor skydiving.
Yeah, Jeanne Wyatt in Austin, Texas turned 92 recently. To celebrate, she went indoor skydiving. She chose the indoor option after considering jumping out of a plane, like former President George H.W. Bush has done on previous birthdays. She says she was maintaining an active lifestyle, and that's the key to feeling decades younger.
You just have to stay active, enjoy life, and do as much as you can, because your body's going to get old.
She is reportedly the second oldest person to reach the top of the chamber at iFly Austin's indoor skydiving facility. That would be fun.
That does look like a lot of fun.
Of course, we did the real thing.
Yeah,
and
we sure did.
That would be like a step down. You still don't know how you feel about that whole experience.
No,
huh?
still not.
But
still
at
not
least
sure.
you could mark it off your bucket list.
Yeah, forever and ever.
Right?
Yeah. One thing I won't do again.
That's one thing that you thought I kind of made you do, right?
Yeah, you were really going. No, Davis ended up not doing it at all.
No.
I had enough sense not to do it.
Yeah. It was fun.
Both of us. Yeah, Gary didn't do it as well.
No chance.
No.
Ain't no way.
I had fun. So
Yeah.
thanks for doing it with me.
It was
Avery.
fun.
Yeah.
6:48, still
Took you
ahead.
3 days to recover.
That's true. He's a baby.
Yeah.
He's a humble
At least
singer.
I did it.
Okay, even more so. Yeah. So this guy is a unique singer with an unusual gig. A look at the success of Ace, the gas station cowboy.
How y'all doing?
Y'all doing good.
Really talks to me. I'm going.
Fox 17 traffic, that fender bender we saw in this shot from 96 and Alpine Avenue that I showed you the last time we showed you traffic is already gone. That's because a state trooper got there, found out both vehicles were movable, and so everybody moved. That's something that a lot of people don't realize. You aren't going to be charged with leaving the scene of an accident. It is if it is safe for you to move your vehicles out of traffic. And that's what they did here. That safe is the key word there. Meanwhile, so that accident has been cleared. There's another accident in Waverly Road at 48th Street in Holland. That one is partially blocking. Elsewhere, we're really looking at generally on-time traffic, but we're also looking at $2.75 as your universal gas price for this morning. Took a couple of days for it to really settle in because on the northwest side, up along Alpine, it was already $2.75 Tuesday afternoon. But nobody else was doing it until it happened yesterday, almost everywhere. I'm Rob Westerby, Fox 17 Traffic.
Well, we're still pretty good outside weather-wise. No issues or concerns. We have a southwest breeze right now at 5 to 10. That's going to clear us out a little bit more. We're at 30 degrees in Holland, 24 in Big Rapids, 29 in Kalamazoo. Southwest breeze already starting to transition to the south in Benton Harbor and South Haven. That should spread area-wide. That will help us warm up and clear out more as we reach 38 for our high temperature, 48 tomorrow, but very, very windy. 44 Saturday, and then back to reality on Sunday with a few snowflakes mixed in as well. More on the weekend just ahead.
All right, Gary, thank you. Well, a country singer in Texas doesn't book nightly gigs anymore, but he is still performing.
Doug Reardon has more on the singer who's earned the nickname Gas Station Cowboy.
All right, welcome everybody to Field City right here in Haltom City, and we're ready to do a show.
On Friday afternoons.
Now, I'll tell you how it's going to be if you meet a real cowboy.
At Fuel City Gas Station in Haltom City, Texas. The lunch hour is filled.
When he don't settle up and right away. All right, you get the picture, don't you?
With the sound the state's heritage was built on.
I do like to sing. I do like to sing country.
And it's all thanks to Ace, the gas station cowboy.
I'm not that great a singer. I mean, like, I just sing well enough to where they don't throw tomatoes at me or anything.
No tomatoes here, just plenty of smiles and tips of the hat.
I try to engage them to let them know that they're worth something. You know, they're not just here to buy something to eat. They're here to refresh their spirit.
It touched my heart really a lot. I loved it.
And the answer is in this song, boys, that I always sing. Yeah.
Ace is known to greet his fans, shake their hands, even send them off with a free CD. Aside from happy faces, he doesn't look for anything in return.
I got a better reward in heaven than I do here.
Because according to him, he's already blessed.
The Lord has been good to me, and all I can say is I couldn't do it without him.
He says he's played gigs all over North Texas for decades, but now in his 70s and needing the help of a wheelchair.
It's just fun waving at people and letting them know you're here. You know.
The cowboy says his music is perfect for this stage.
Thou loves me the rider, it's wrong. It's a little thing, but a little thing's better than no thing, you know. So, and it's gone. Thank you, buddy.
He has a positive mental
That's
attitude,
awesome.
doesn't he?
I feel like him and Davis could be good friends,
Oh,
right?
they'd be
Could you
buddies.
see that in Davis's future, doing something
oh,
like
yeah.
that?
He's singing to everybody as they walk by. Good morning, I'm
What's
Florida
the song
Record,
he
Mike
always
Davis.
sings? Johnny Cash,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
Yeah.
Ring of Fire?
Uh-huh.
There you go. You want to give us a little bit before we
Can
start?
we hear it for a minute?
Fell into a burning ring of fire.
All right, then.
Okay. Here we go, Davis. Well, here's something to cheers about. The makers of Guinness have introduced a non-alcoholic beer.
Well, that's great. It's called Pure Brew, and Guinness describes it as full-flavored, crisp golden lager with a fruity, hoppy taste. It was developed in an effort to cash in on the growing consumer trend of cutting back on alcohol. The brew contains an ABV of 0.5%, and Guinness chiefs say it stands shoulder to shoulder with the other beers. Their other beers.
What are you
the
saying?
Beers. It's just, basically, they're saying it's just as good as everything else they offer.
Okay.
All right? In not so many words. Pure Brew is being sold at 250 pubs in Dublin and an Ireland-wide rollout planned for sometime in March with the Lucky Charms. And we'll
I
just,
have no idea what you're talking about, so
there's
hopefully.
a new beer, it's non-alcoholic there at Guinness. And they're going to roll it out soon with the Lucky Charms.
Okay.
7 o'clock hour straight ahead.